Hey guys, it's Tim, and this is Wrestling Unlimited, as it's Wednesday, and that means tonight was AEW Dynamite. Now, as far as tonight's Dynamite does go, like, it wasn't a bad show, I will say that. Like, it was a very easy show to watch, but it also wasn't, like, super engaging for the most part, if that makes a lot of sense. Like, I thought Mercedes Moné and Alex Windsor had a pretty good match. I thought that they worked well together. I'm a very big Alex Windsor fan. I think she is amazing. Mercedes is Mercedes. When she's got the right opponent, she can actually have pretty good matches. But then there's other times when you got Mercedes in there who's just trying to get herself over. But this felt like something like she really likes Alex and wanted to put on a good match and a good show with the two of them instead of just, I'm Mercedes Moné and I'm the best, da-da-da. You know what I mean? And so with that, then we move on. We have like the tag title match. Not invested in that at all. That gets announced 50 minutes before the show goes on the air. And why? Because according to Tony Khan, Bro Dito came into his production meeting and said, we want to be fighting champions. Let us defend our titles tonight. Like, what? Really? You don't even like shoot an angle for that or anything? You just have Tony and Taz on a live stream on Twitch or Twitter, announcing it? Okay, whatever. And then it's like other things on the show too was just there. Even that main event, fun, had a lot of good wrestlers and stuff, but it's like, why were the Bucks there? That makes no sense. Jet Speed kind of makes sense, but doesn't make sense why they're involved here as well. And my big question is, are we really building up Josh Alexander for Hangman in the world title? Josh Alexander of all people? No AEW fan has said, I think Josh Alexander should get a shot at the AEW world title. None. I don't think a single person who watches AEW maybe even had that cross their mind that they would like Josh Alexander. Like, why else would he be picking up win after win after win? Like, it looks like Josh Alexander may be going for the world title because Don said, one of my guys are going to fight you for the title, but hasn't said who. Yet Josh Alexander keeps being the one in all these tag matches to get the win. And then it looks like maybe Kyle Fletcher and Omega, they're just going to shoot right through this Kyle Fletcher Briscoe stuff, probably on a Collision. I think is when did they announce it for Collision? I can't remember now. Hold on. Let me go back to my notes. I know I wrote down Collision matches. What did they announce for Collision this week? Mark Briscoe versus Takeshita. So then when would it be? Next Collision then we could probably get. For some reason, I just don't see Mark Briscoe and Fletcher being a Dynamite match. I mean, it could, but I don't know. Yet they're just going to run through that really fast and then move on to, it looks like, I could be wrong, but it looks like Fletcher and Omega probably at the pay-per-view. So like the whole thing, and I keep saying like way too much, I need to stop that. But the whole thing here, it's AEW likes to just rush to things really fast. Like again, tag title match today for no reason. Why? A title match should be at least built up with the week's build. What did Tony say about MJF cashing in his thing? Well, first off, where the hell's MJF been? What has Tony said about MJF cashing in his contract? I would like a week to build these matches to actually give them room to breathe and hype and stuff. But then you're setting up a title match 40 minutes, 50 minutes before a show. And let me see something. When's the last time Wheeler Yuta actually picked up a win? His reasoning for this title match tonight was Bro Dito asked to defend their titles, and we thought, what better way than two guys that have been trios champions before? Not even like former tag team champions. No. Two guys that have just been trios champions before. Let's see, the Death Riders. When's the last time Wheeler Yuta picked up a win? Wheeler Yuta. Loss. So I guess on the 14th on Collision, him and Moxley beat Jet Speed. But it's like loss after loss after one win, loss after loss after win there, loss after loss after win. You know what I mean? It's like for every win, he's got 2 to 3 to 4 losses. 3, it looks like 2 to 3. And so, yeah, it didn't make much sense to me why it was. And I mean, they don't really have any tag teams, to be honest, built up to where you would think, well, they're deserving of a tag title shot right now. It's just like with Tony Storm. They've got nobody built up for Tony Storm. At least they had the stuff with Alex Windsor and Mercedes that's been playing off for a couple of weeks. Yes, Alex Windsor already got a title shot, so it's like, why does she need another one? But this was a singles match compared to that four-way where she kind of, and so it's just like, I don't know. A lot of stuff feels rushed in AEW. They don't let it flesh out. And I know what you're going to say. Oh, well, Tim, what about WWE? They're going to rush AJ Lee and CM Punk versus Seth and Becky. Yes and no, because this Seth and Punk feud has been going on for years, for well over a year. And so this is just another layer on that, adding Becky and AJ. And I'm not trying to be defensive and say WWE is better than this. No, there's stuff in WWE I don't like as well. Like that Becky and Nikki Bella feud and match that came out of nowhere and was bad. I'll talk bad about both companies. Granted, I like more that takes place in WWE. I like the way they do things more than Tony Khan because it's two different styles of wrestling and booking. AEW style is, what are the best matches we can put on? Yes, we know we have to build these matches up sometimes, but what's going to get the best star ratings? What's going to get the best reactions? Instead of, what's the best storytelling we can tell? Who's got the better stories? That's my whole thing. So, Elite says, I'm more mad they're rushing Stephanie Vicur versus EO. Well, that you can give them a pass on because Naomi. They didn't know that Naomi was going to get pregnant or was already pregnant when they put the title on her. And then when they, had it set that it was going to be Stephanie versus either her or EO, probably her in Paris, and then all that. That's a completely out of their hands situation that you had to just deal with. So that right there, you can't even put on Triple H and the booking, the writers and all that. That's kind of we don't have a women's world champion anymore. We need something. These are the last two women, the last champion and the actual number one contender. Let's go with that. So in those kinds of cases, when it's out of their hands, like if someone gets injured or they're out pregnant or something like that, completely different story. Or even if it's like a Visa situation where someone is a champion, maybe, I don't know. We haven't seen this with champions happen before, but like someone's like what's her name? Hikaru Shida's out right now because her visa issues. She's having issues getting her visa renewed. Kenny Omega actually talked about it recently. Roosh was out for a while because he was having issues with his visa. When it's stuff like that is out of your control, you can get a pass on it. But yeah. With all of that, though, I want to say thank you for joining us here. Twitch.tv/PWU Unlimited, YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. Remember, if you're watching live on Twitch, you can help us out a couple of different ways. You can be like Esports Gaming Rules. Really do appreciate that. With the bit donations to get your comment, question, or concern read live on the air. Or you subscribe to the channel one of two different ways. You can either subscribe with a tiered subscription, or you can subscribe with Amazon Prime. All you got to do is take your Amazon Prime account, take your Twitch account, link them together, bada bing, bada boom, your Prime Gaming. Remember, Prime Gaming gives you a lot of cool things like free games, free stuff for games, and you always get, try not to burp in the microphone, one subscription to any Twitch channel you want to subscribe to throughout the month. And I greatly appreciate it if you did right here, Pro Wrestling Unlimited. Also, remember, you can help us out over on YouTube. You can help us out over there by subscribing to the channel. That way you know we post new videos, when we go live, when we post to the community tab. Also, remember, you can help us out by subscribing to the channel one or two different ways. Well, yeah, subscribing to the channel in another way with hitting the join button and becoming a channel member. All my stuff's running together in my mind right now. With that, as a channel member, you get a badge next to your name, emotes and emojis you can use in the live chat. You get access to our graphics packages, graphics tutorials, and so much more, which actually, I think maybe this weekend probably, we're going to do a watch-along. Probably going to do watch-along of a couple AJ Lee matches. That's topical right now. So we're going to actually, I got some AJ Lee content I'm working on right now, so we'll see how that all does go. And what we watch, at least you guys know, in the next day or so. But also remember, you can get your comment, question, or concern read live on the air on YouTube by donating a super chat in the live chat. Finally, head over to the Epic Game Store. Head over to the Epic Game Store and buy something. Whether you're buying a new game, whether you're buying an old game, whether you're claiming a free game or getting bucks for Rocket League, Fortnite, or Fall Guys, use our code PW Unlimited at checkout, and you will be supporting us at no extra cost. Remember, that's PWUNLIMITED for all Epic Games and Epic Game Store purchases. I need to fix that. I messed it up. I moved stuff in different folders and need to pull the Epic logo back into the correct folder. With all of that, Esports Gaming Rules says AEW used Riho for the, quote, break glass in case of emergency, so she can defeat Monet one day and stop Monet's quest to break Ultimo Dragon's record of most belts. So here's the thing. I don't like that people compare what Mercedes is doing now to what Ultimo Dragon did in the past, because it tells me that you don't understand what Ultimo Dragon had. You don't understand what the J Cup was. And you don't understand how these are so different. Ultimo Dragon didn't just show up to random companies in random countries and say, let me win your world title. You want me to get you some ticket sales? Let me win your world title. No, that's not what Ultimo Dragon did. And I'm not going to go fully into detail here, but I want to say it was one day last week. I can't remember which episode. But there was an episode of Wrestling Observer Live with Brian Alvarez and Lance Storm, who told this story perfectly on why they're different and what Ultimo Dragon actually had. Lance Storm was there when they did all of this and set it all up and everything. What Ultimo Dragon did was they were doing the J Cup in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and it was all the best cruiserweights from all around the world, the junior heavyweights coming together. There was like a tournament, and they were all just fighting to see who the best was, kind of like the early versions of Best of the Super Juniors. And then at the end of the night, they had representatives from all different companies. I think it was New Japan, of course, but WWE and the NWA, and just all these different champions were there, and they all came to the ring at the same time and said, who's the best champion? And they all laid their titles down in the ring, and I could be getting some of these details wrong, but they all laid their titles down in the ring and said, let's do a tournament where everyone wins all of it. Basically saying, who's the best junior heavyweight in the world? The winner gets all the belts. So it wasn't just, oh, I'm going to go to this promotion that nobody's ever heard of and win their belt. I'm going to go to this promotion that nobody's ever heard of and win their belt. Oh, this company wants to start a women's division. I'll win the title for the first time. It's not that. These are all highly recognized, important titles that Ultimo Dragon had, instead of just random, most people have never heard of that company titles. What Mercedes is doing is not the same, because what she has, only the TBS title really matters. Now, does she still have the NJPW Woman Strong? If she does, then that one does as well. But like even the Owen belt doesn't matter, because she's never going to defend it. She's never going to put it on the line, so she's never going to lose it. So she's always at least going to be, even if she loses everything else, she's still going to be one-time champion or one belt Monet. And it's like, I hate when people compare it to Ultimo Dragon, because it's not the same. She's winning random titles from random companies. Ultimo Dragon won a tournament to basically have all the best top belts in the world for junior heavyweights. And I'm going to pull this up real fast. Ultimo Dragon J Cup. No, Super J Cup, I mean. And like, if we look at it, let me see if I can get a image that you can like tell all the different belts. Let me see. Hold on. What's the biggest? I need a. Let's go with this one. Open image. Let me see if we can actually. Yes, it's hard to tell, but he's got like 3 NWA belts. WWE looks like a WWE Cruiserweight title. Light heavyweight. Yeah, the WWE Light Heavyweight title. New Japan. So it's like, it's not the same. It's not the same at all. And I hate when people compare what Mercedes is doing now to what Ultimo Dragon did. Because yes, he had a bunch of belts all at once. But it's not the same thing, because he won a bunch of titles from who was considered the top junior heavyweights in the world. Like, no offense to any of these other women that Mercedes is facing, but it's like, are they all considered the best in the world in that division? Are they the top 10 in the division on all of women's wrestling? No. But who Ultimo Dragon defeated in this tournament were considered the top 10 junior heavyweights in the world. And I implore you guys, if you guys can, You'll listen to Lance Storm explain this in better ways than I can, especially since he was there when it happened on last week's Wrestling Observer Radio or Wrestling Observer Live. Let me see really fast if I can F4W online, see if what episode that is to let you guys know. Podcast episodes. Oh man, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it. I want to say it was just last week, maybe Friday. Yeah, I don't. Trying to see, was it Friday? No. Yeah, no, I can't remember. I can't figure out what. Maybe it was. Hold on. No. Yeah, I can't figure out what episode it was on. But one of the episodes last week. So it wasn't. I can tell you, it wasn't last Wednesday because Tom Lawler was on that episode. I'm trying to figure out what episode Lance was on. But one of the episodes, it was either last week or the week before. I want to say it was last week, but I can't fully remember. Because like Brian was like, oh, people comparing Mercedes. He said the same thing I basically did. Oh, wait. Was it this episode? It might have been this episode. No, that's just Filthy Tom. Wait, no. It might have been this episode. It might have been from August 21st. That might have been the episode. August 21st. And yeah, Mercedes still does have the strong openweight title or strong women's title. But yeah. Oh, camera froze. I don't know what happened there. Thank you guys. But yeah, I don't know why people like to compare it. They compare it because they don't understand the differences. That's what it is. Sorry for going on that long-winded rant there. Esports Gaming Rules also says, it looks maybe a lot of people are going to use ESPN DTC for WWE's first ESPN PLE WrestlePalooza in Indianapolis instead of AEW All Out Toronto on HBO Max. 30 better than 40, but I got ESPN DTC through Spectrum. We don't know what's going to happen with this. I think both shows are just going to do very well. Now, especially since AEW moved their show early. AEW All Out will now be airing at 3 p.m. Eastern instead of going head-to-head at 7 or whatever with WrestlePalooza. And to be completely honest, even though Stream East is down, you can still find other ways where you don't got to pay for it. Just saying. Like with the WWE show, you don't need ESPN. You just get your VPN, like Urban VPN, which is free, and watch on Netflix. That's what I'm going to do going forward. I already do it for SmackDown. I don't remember, to be honest, the last time I watched SmackDown on the USA Network. Let me turn this fan on. It's getting a little warm in here. Like, if I'm going to be honest, guys, I don't remember the last time I watched SmackDown on USA Network. Now, I watch in NXT on CW every week. I don't know why. Just for some reason, oh, NXT's on. Oh, probably. Okay, probably because I know it's just sitting there in my DVR already, and I usually start about 30 minutes late. That might be why. And I'm like, well, I can fast forward through these commercials at least to get caught up, and then whatever. And it's not a show that I'm fully paying attention to anyway. So if I got the commercials there, it's not bugging me either way. That's the other thing with NXT. I don't watch NXT to review it. I watch NXT to see if there's any news coming out of it, and I'm entertained by NXT most weeks. Like yesterday, NXT was on, and I'm like, oh, NXT's been on for an hour. Let me see what's going on that show. Oh, nice brawl with Blake and Jordan. So, Blake Moreau busted open from the mouth yesterday. Anyways, yeah, if fans are going to want to watch both, they're going to watch both. We're in an era now where you don't have to pick and choose. Even if they were head to head, I'm going to have to pick and choose. No, there's a chance. Do I do it? Guys, do you want an extra long review that Sunday? No, Saturday. When's the 20th? Yes. Well, that's why I realized NXT was on. Because someone DM'd me and go, you see DIY on NXT? I go, oh, crap. NXT's on right now. DIY? What? That's really the reason I switched on to NXT last night. But WrestlePalooza is a Saturday. Like, you guys want an extra long? Now that these shows aren't going head to head, I'm going to watch them both separately now. We could do a double review. Would you guys want that? I'll put a poll up in the community tab. Actually, I'll do it right now. Oh, that reminds me. I didn't do any of the polls. Let's do that really fast, guys. But actually, I'll do it closer to time. but we got to get the polls on. What did you think of Dynamite? I didn't get any of the polls. I apologize. Dealing with a sick kid and just, yeah. I liked it. It was all right. I didn't like it. I knew I was missing something when I went to the community tab to post, hey, we're live. I'm like, I know I'm supposed to post something else here. But yeah, DIY came out to their old theme because it was literally 10 years to the day that they made their NXT debut. Liked it. Right. I didn't. Oop. I accidentally hit the cap locks button. I didn't. All right, guys. If you're watching on Twitch, the poll is live. The poll is live on Twitter. Let's go. Liked it. Right. I didn't. It. Threads and community poll. But as far as Dynamite does go, we can just get into that right now. So the show opens up and Excalibur's welcoming us to the building and everything. And all of a sudden we hear someone talking over him, sort of. At least it's 2015. Yes, DIY first made their NXT debut in 2015. September 2nd, 2015 was the first time we saw DIY on NXT television. And Ciampa had hair. Anyways. So we're listening to Excalibur. Welcome us to the show. He's trying to tell us what's on the show and everything. And we start hearing somebody talking over him. Eventually we figure out it's Gabe Kidd. Gabe Kidd's out here and he's talking crap on Darby Allin. Where you at, Darby? You hiding in the rafters again? And right on cue, Darby jumps down and attacks. Darby is fighting with Gabe Kidd, and then the Death Riders come out and they're fighting. And then we got Hook's new music that I'm never going to get used to. That's just the beginning of it sounds kind of cool, but then once you get the guy that comes in and starts singing, blah, 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 blah. I don't know the words or anything, but blah, 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 blah. I'm never going to get used to that as a freaking wrestling thing. Anyways, he comes out, and all of a sudden another music hits, and I go, who is this? I don't know the Ops music, but it's the Ops music. So the Ops then run out past him. No Shibata for some reason. They jump in the ring. They're all fighting, and that plays into something later with Joe and Hook. But yeah, they're all just fighting, and it's mass chaos. And I'm kind of just like, oh, okay, this is an interesting way to start the show. Cool. But I'm not like into it or anything. Because again, I'm over just the everybody's going to brawl stuff. I'm over the gang warfare. We've done this for a year now. This gang warfare stuff. And they slowed on it a little bit for a while. Now it's back. And it's like, why is Gabe Kidd out here, the hired mercenary? I don't get it. Death Riders don't got enough people. And don't get me started on these blokes that are trying to compare the Death Riders and the Vision, saying the WWE's copying the Death Riders with the Vision, because that ain't the case at all. How many times have they tried to give Seth the group and it didn't work, and now it's finally worked? Well before AEW was a thing. Well before the Death Riders were a thing. Well before the Blackpool Combat Club was a thing. And it's like, okay, let's compare the two. If you really want to compare the two. You've got Seth and Moxley, the leaders. Then what? You've got Bronson Reed and Claudio you can put as a compare. You got Braun Breaker and Wheeler maybe as a compare. But then Death Riders also have Pac. You got no one there. Death Riders got Marina. I guess you could say Becky. But then what about Heyman? Marina's their manager. So that would actually link them to her to Heyman. And then you got Becky, a woman who wrestles regularly. They ain't got a woman that wrestles ever. So it's like, it's not a comparison. You can't compare. And I hate when people do this, trying to compare shit that's not comparable. Oh, WWE's only gave Seth Rollins a group because Jon Moxley got over with his group, and they saw that it worked in AEW, so they knew. How many times has Seth had a group that they tried to get over? Like the Visionary has had, he had his one group with AOP and Buddy Murphy, and then he was part of the Authority, part of the Shield. Like, Seth's been part of groups. That's Seth's thing. That every few years he feels like, oh crap, I'm a heel again. I need someone to back me up. I'm a heel, so I need backup. Whenever Seth's the heel, he needs backup. Elite, I'm not insulting Becky as Marina. I'm saying Marina, people like to say, well, they added Becky because the Death Riders have a female. No, Marina's their manager, which would make her their Heyman, if you want to be completely honest. Anyways, they're all brawling and everything. Yuta and Gabe Kidd disappear. They start fighting to the back. Moxley, Claudio, and Marina are all there, and everyone's fighting. Willow comes out, and she starts fighting and everything. And then we see them fighting in the back. Gabe Kidd and Darby, where eventually Darby does get the better of Gabe Kidd, as Gabe Kidd did have the better of him first. Darby then puts him in a body bag that is chained to the back of a truck, and he drives away, dragging Gabe Kidd behind the truck. Cool. It did nothing for me. It did nothing for me. Watching a man get dragged behind a truck? Okay. I mean, I've technically done the same thing, but we did it with a, snow saucer. Not put someone in a body bag that they couldn't control their body. They had to just lay there and take it and not know what was coming. What if Darby accidentally hit that gas a little too hard and the back end swung out and then Gabe Kidd went, woo! You know what I mean? Dumb spot. Granted, he went slow and there was no issues with it, but I don't know. I wasn't a fan of it. Esports Gaming Rule says NXT coming back to their full sale return. Yes, that's going to be cool. That show's already sold out. He says Angst and Bronson got beef with AEW, which is why Hook got the theme change. Yeah, we know why he got the theme change, but I just don't like the new song. I don't feel like the new song fits for a wrestling theme. It really sounds like, oh, I'm a guy on the indies and I think this is a cool song. I like the song, so I'm just going to use it. No rhyme or reason about it. It's like the Young Bucks. When they first started on the indies, they used Mbop because they thought it would be a funny thing to have for wrestling. A song that's been mocked for years. So we're going to come out and, because like when the Young Bucks first started, they're supposed to be like the boy band of wrestling kind of thing. Like that was their thing. They were like a boy band themselves. And so Mbop was more of a joke thing, but it's what it feels like. I'm an indie wrestler who can just use any song I want because it doesn't matter. I'm on indie shows and whatnot, but yeah, I don't know. Remember, guys, if you want to get your comment, questions, or concern read live on the air, you can do so on Twitch with Twitch Bits or on YouTube with a super chat. But we finally get to our first match of the night, and it's got the TBS title on the line, Mercedes Moné versus Alex Windsor. And I honestly thought this was a really good match. Mercedes and Alex, their styles work very well together. They are very good opponents for one another. I will say that. But then with that said, we got a crappy finish because I'm really tired of all wrestling right now doing the flash roll up out of nowhere pin. Like it's just over all of a sudden. And then they made Mercedes look so stupid when Riho's music is playing and she's sitting there cranking the crossface, looking around going, where is she? Where is she? Where is she? And then Riho just coup de grace her. Double foot stomps her. Like, they made Mercedes look dumb. But Esports Gaming Rule says Mercedes the belt version of the Cookie Monster. I think I get what you're trying to say, but not fully. Explain yourself. You don't need to give another super chat for that one, but explain yourself, Esports Gaming Rules. I think I understand what you're trying to say. Like, Cookie Monster just likes to devour cookies. So she likes to just devour championships and have as many as she can. Like the Cookie Monster likes to have as many cookies as he can. Is that what you mean? All right, hold on, Corey. You know it's not real, right? No one ever really has somebody. Alex Windsor really had Mercedes beat tonight. No, she didn't. In pro wrestling, no one's ever got someone almost beat because they're not. It's not MMA where you're fighting somebody and you almost have them, and then they turn the tides and win. You see that a lot in MMA, but it's pro wrestling, and it's, what's the word I'm looking for? All scripted and planned out, and you already know who's going to win and lose. So it's not like you've got that, oh my God, Alex Windsor almost beat her. She never almost beat her because she was never planned to beat her. So I hate to be the spoiler and be the curmudgeon there, but Moné went on the attack early until Windsor dodged a Hurricane Rana, briefly applying a half crab. Moné got free, but Windsor answered back with an arm drag and a roll through to a snap drop kick. At one point, there was a delay that allowed Windsor to somersault senton from the apron back inside the ring. Windsor connected with a flying clothesline for a 2. Monet wanted a baseball slide, but Windsor blocked it and got a sharpshooter using the bottom rope. Breaking before the 5 count, Monet kicked free and managed a powerbomb on the edge of the apron as we went to a commercial break. When we came back from the break, there was a misdirect clothesline from Windsor that led to a reset. Windsor at one point did hit a blue thunder bomb. There's a sharpshooter successfully applied, but Monet did pull the hair to get free of it. Aubrey never even admonished her for doing so. Whatever. Monet at one point charged in, but ran right into a pop-up powerbomb for a double down. Justin Roberts then told us 10 minutes have gone, 10 minutes remain. And I'm like, oh, only a 20-minute time limit? I thought title matches were 60 minutes. This one only had a 20-minute time limit, which is interesting. And when he said that, I'm like, oh, are we going the full almost 20 minutes? Because AEW never gives the time cues unless it's going to the wire. So that confused me, but I don't think they did. I didn't get a time here, but it didn't feel like almost 20 minutes. Maybe closer to 15. So there was a slugfest at one point as Monet tried a Monet Maker, which Windsor hit a headbutt to avoid into a Made in Japan for a 2. 2300 Arena erupts into This Is Awesome chant as both get up into the corner where Monet hit a Kano Slam into a statement maker. Windsor then got a finger on the ropes to barely break the count, but Monet kicked back to get in the center of the ring, and you can tell here she's wearing NWO inspired knee pads. It says one says CEO and the other says I think Monet in the NWO font with like the square rectangle around it. So they repeated the spot back in the center of the ring. Windsor then went back for the sharpshooter, only this time Monet countered it, rolled her up, 1, 2, 3, flash pin. It's the new thing in wrestling. There's 2 things that a lot of wrestling companies are doing right now that is overdone. The flash roll up out of nowhere for the victory, and triple threats and 4-ways. We get a lot of triple threats and 4-ways right now in wrestling, both WWE, AEW, TNA, and a lot of, especially in WWE and AEW, I barely beat you flash pin. And I spoke to an indie wrestler and said, what is with all these flash pins? And they go, I don't know for sure, but my deduction is a flash pin makes the challenger or the person losing not look as bad. You're not taking the finish, getting knocked out and getting pinned in the mat 1, 2, 3. You're getting caught. And it's like you're trying to keep the opponent that loses to still look good, if that makes sense. They don't look fully like a loser because they took the finish, got knocked out or tapped out or all that stuff. So that's what I was told by an indie wrestler that I spoke to about this. But other than that, it's like, I don't know. Too many companies are overdoing it, and I get it. You want people to not look bad in loss. Sometimes, especially a champion, needs a decisive pin you in the middle with my finisher win. So afterwards, Monet kind of trash talk Windsor, but Windsor tried to offer the handshake. Monet was like, no, and flips her off. Windsor wasn't having any of it, and she tried to put her in a sharpshooter again, but only got waffled with the TBS title. Monet then puts her in the statement maker crossface, and as she's there wrenching it, music plays. And I go, whose music is this? I don't know this music. And then we kind of see on the dashboards on the barricade, it says Riho. So I'm like, oh, Riho's coming out. And like Mercedes kind of keeps looking up at the ramp and looking all around. Then Riho comes from over by the announce table, gets on the top rope and just coup de grace Mercedes in the middle of the ring. And I'm like, what? Okay. And so let's look here when Riho had her last match in AEW, because this is pertinent. Go to her cage match. When was Riho's last AEW match? Let's see. Riho matches 7/6/2024. This woman's been gone for over a year. And why I say this is pertinent to know, because she showed up, double foot stomps the champion, and they announced later in the night, Riho will challenge Mercedes Moné for the TBS title at All Out. What? She could have been gone for a year injured, and all of a sudden comes back and just gets a title shot. What? Doesn't have to win nothing, doesn't have to do anything. She just comes out double foot. Fuck. Again, this is the problem that I have with AEW. It's not like if Mercedes, with Tony Storm, for instance, okay, good example. Tony said, I want any woman to just show up and challenge me. I'm basically said, I'm doing an open challenge. That's one thing. Okay, cool. First person to come out and say, I want your title, give her the match because you already laid down the open challenge. Mercedes didn't do that. Mercedes didn't state, hey, I beat Alex Windsor. Now, any of you women back there, come out and challenge me. No. And it's just like when Nikki Bella got an icy title match against Becky. I wasn't a fan of that either because Nikki didn't earn it. I like in wrestling when people have to earn shit and not just handed stuff. Now, again, if you have the champion come out like Tony Storm did tonight in that video and basically issue an open challenge, that's one thing. That's different. Oh, for years we had the John Cena U.S. title open challenge. He was telling people, first person to come out tonight gets to face me for the belt. Cody Rhodes was doing that with the TNT title. That's different. But when you just have someone show up who's been gone for a year, yeah, no. Not a fan. Moving forward, Renee Paquette's in the back with Samoa Joe and Powerhouse Hobbs. Talks about Hook being here tonight and them helping Hook. And then Joe's like, we weren't here to help you, Hook. And Hook's like, I don't need your help. And Joe's like, well, we weren't trying to help you. We got a bone beef with the Death Rider, so maybe you just need to get out of the way. And Hook's like, well, you know what? My body wasn't even cold when you replaced me with this guy. And he points at Hobbs. And Hobbs gets all like, oh, excuse me? And Joe's like, back it up, back it up. And he's like, yeah, we did replace you because we needed somebody. And we didn't know how long you were going to be gone for. And you were gone for a while. And Hook's like, one day you are going to need us and we're going to be here for you. Because the ops take the opposition to do what's needed. And sometimes we need to fight some people and beat some people up. And Hook's just all upset about this. And, yeah, I don't know. To me, it felt like we were teasing some sort of Hook Joe match. But I don't know. I think Joe maybe said you could rejoin the ops, but I wasn't 100%. It wasn't clear if Hook is still part of the ops or not. It really just wasn't clear. Ricochet's in the back. He talks about how, my beef with the Hurt Syndicate did not start here in AEW. We've had this beef for years. Talk about going all the way back to WWE and the Hurt Business. He doesn't say that specifically, but you know what he's talking about. He said the Hurt Syndicate have relied on their past accomplishments as Toa Leona explodes, saying that it's all that they have. As Ricochet and the Gates of Agony are the ones who ended their title reign and their legacy. Ricochet, unlike the Hurt Syndicate, is not washed up. The Hurt Syndicate are. He said, us three, we're still in our prime, ready to show our future. So how about in Toronto, all out, us three versus you three? Other than show us the Hall of Fame banner for Taz, the hardcore Hall of Fame banner. So we're just making shit up now. Apparently, Tony Khan wanted to do this ceremony for Taz on the show. But instead, Taz went to Tony Khan and said, hey, we don't need to take time away from the broadcast, away from the show, away from the actual wrestlers on the show to do an honoring ceremony of me. So I appreciate it, Tony, but let's not do it on TV for the sake of the broadcast. And Tony's all right, if Taz don't want it on TV, Taz didn't get it on TV. They did it before the show went on the air. I think there's video of it up now, but I haven't watched it yet. But they showed that. And yeah, Taz thanked Tony Khan for everything he's done for him and everything that he's done to start AEW and all that. Then Mark Briscoe's in the ring, and this died. This whole segment sucked. Big ovation when Mark Briscoe comes out, but then eventually they just sucked all the air out of the building. Briscoe comes out and says this building is where he and his brother fell in love with professional wrestling. He said in 2025, Briscoe is focused on one thing, Kyle Fletcher and the TNT title. And it unfortunately meant that he had to have a conversation with old Don Callis. Don Callis, who looks like Elton John, dressed up like a prosthetic penis over Halloween. I'm like, what the fuck? He said in order to get a TNT title shot, Callis said that he'd have to defeat one of his henchmen. And so it looks like he's about to face Rocky Romero, when out would come Lance Archer instead. Archer jumps into the ring. Briscoe tries to get the better of him early. And Callis knows that Briscoe is impatient. Callis said that, Callis joins commentary here, and Callis said that Briscoe's match will take place this Saturday on Collision against, Konosuke Takeshita. Fighting Archer tonight doesn't count. He's got to beat Takeshita before getting a shot at the TNT title. Takeshita makes his way down to the ring. He has a face-off with Briscoe. Callis went to leave with his family when Briscoe said that he'd see Mr. Takeshita on Saturday and wants to fight right now. So this is when then Archer comes out. My bad. I got this all slightly mixed up. This is when then Archer comes out. And we do get Mark Briscoe versus Archer with Rocky at ringside. The match was a nothing match. Like, I barely got any notes for it because it was just, they fought, they did some stuff, and Briscoe got the win. Like, I didn't even really write down notes because I never fully cared about this. Because the whole time that Mark Briscoe's in the ring cutting this promo, the crowd's getting less and less invested. Then Don comes out and they boo him a little bit, but then they're less and less invested. Like, you know when a crowd is invested in a Don Callis promo? When they're booing him so loud you can barely hear him. And that didn't happen tonight. And that would be very easy for this crowd to do because it is a small crowd in a small building. They got about 900 people there. They could have easily booed loud enough to drown him out, and they didn't because this crowd didn't care about any of this. Esports Gaming Rule says, by the way, CMLL is teasing Monet, has to defend the CMLL Women's Championship. Oh, she's got that, don't she? I forgot she has that belt. Hot damn. So Mark Briscoe does defeat Lance Archer. Cool. It was more of Lance Archer beat his ass, and then Briscoe came back at the end. Froggy Bowen gets the win. We got an earlier today video of Timeless Tony Storm in an empty 2300 arena saying that she wants the attention of the Philadelphia Freaks. Insanity is relative, so she promises to be the most batshit bitch who piss in the sink. I'm like, what the fuck? Storm is a woman in search of her murder, a character in search of a plot. No belt collector or forever champion can take my title away. So she's begging any woman come play the role on the greatest show on earth and challenge me for the title. Basically an open challenge to anyone, which is fine. Fine. Which also tells you though, oh yeah, we got nobody built up for Tony. So we're just going to randomly pick someone. She said, not to worry. God doesn't judge. That's my job. So, cool. We're going to get Tony Storm versus somebody. And Tony's in like a random 8-woman tag on Collision this Saturday. Okay. Hell. Speaking of the women's division, we go to the back. And Chris Statlander's there with Harley Cameron, and they do their shtick, or Harley Cameron's just being over the top. And Harley Cameron's talking about being a cat and the face mask. And then Statlander's finally like, Harley, stop. She pulls the face mask off of her. It's not even connected. She's like, the wrath is you, not the mask. And then Wheeler Yuta comes up and he's like, hey, Kristen. I'm like, why is he calling her Kristen? But whatever. He's like, if you need anything, we can help you. Harley Cameron said that you could tell that if anyone is looking out for them, it's themselves. They don't need someone to watch their backs. Marina Shafir then joined, and Statlander said for them to tell our friend that I get the message. So who's the friend? Our friend to who? Mox? Claudio? Who? Yuta said that he'll relay it before leaving, saying that he's pretty tough after everything he's been through tonight. As Cameron said, that they seem fun. Harley Cameron continues to be highlight. Like, she's funny and fun and entertaining, but it's like, they're really still trying to recruit Chris Statlander to the Death Riders? Like, is that really what they're still trying to do? I don't even know. So we got the World Tag Team titles on the line. Give me 1 second here. So it was Brody King, and Bandito against the Death Riders, Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta. After a quick opening sequence here, Bandito and Yuta kind of stalemated things down for tagging out, and Claudio and King got in, and there was a slugfest. King avoided a giant swing and hit an assisted Cazadora slam by Bandito and followed this up with a senton. Bandito, started doing the Macarena, which King politely declined to do, as the fans were kind of bummed out by it. Then there was a Macarena chant from the crowd. Bandito connected with a wildly impressive stalling vertical suplex on Castagnoli before going up top for a dive, only to be caught with a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker by Claudio. Bandito at one point was worked over the entire commercial break, they tell us, as Yuta planted him with an angle slam for a 2 as we return. Everyone's fighting it out again, and then the kind of like a stall at one point, and this led to an attempted Dragon Rana from Bandito, who was caught only to counter the counter of a counter into a Code Red. There was a lot going on here. I just like bunch of moves, Code Red at the end. So at one point, there was a wild Bandito Hurricane Rana on his own partner, the Saint King, doing a cannonball into Castagnoli. And then Bandito followed this up with a frog splash attempt, but crashed and burned. At one point, where was I? At one point, Bandito was taken down and tripped by Marina Shafir, allowing Castagnoli to mow him down with an uppercut and a brawl. Shafir ran distraction on referee Bryce Remsburg, giving John Moxley a chance to show up and post King. A fastball special connected on Bandito, who kicked out at 2. The giant swing on Bandito as Yuta hit the mid-revolution dropkick. Only this time, King lunged in to break up the count. Castagnoli then took the ref as Moxley stalked King, as Darby then sprinted out and brawled at ringside with him. King then waffled Castagnoli with a roundhouse forearm as Yuta ate one as well. This then led to Bandito hitting a 21 plex and picking up the victory. So Brodito retains the titles. Like, okay, cool. Nothing all that special here. Renee Paquette's in the parking lot with Kazuchika Okada. Brought up the tension between him and Konosuke Takeshita. Okada said Takeshita calls himself the Alpha, but Okada's the Rainmaker, the top dog of the Don Callis family. Bitch. So I think eventually they're going to split Takeshita off of the Don Callis family and give him a babyface run on his own. They've used Don in a very good way to push Takeshita as a top star, a top factor on this brand. Now it's time for him to go and do and see what we can see him on his own. We've seen him be a top guy and a very effective top guy in New Japan. So now I want to see him on his own be a top guy in AEW. Whether that is still as a heel or a babyface against Okada, ooh, give me that. More Renee Paquette with the Hurt Syndicate. MVP basically questioning what Ricochet said earlier, said that they're nothing compared to us. And MVP says, you want me to put my boots back on? You want me to dust them off and get back in the ring? Sure. Toronto, we're going to hurt you. Lashley and Benjamin walk off. Benjamin in the 6th round for a second tells Paquette, it was a pleasure. And then we hear the crowd in the background, we hurt people. We hurt people. Where last week, they could not do this chant. They're like, we hurt people. We hurt people. Like, that's not the right cadence of the chant, but they got it this time. Copeland comes out, makes his way down to the ring, but is quickly attacked by FTR. This then leads to Christian coming out, and they all just brawl. Big old brawl, separated. Dax gets busted open. He's bleeding from the dome. Eventually, Christian and Cope get taken away. Then Jordan Oliver and some other just jobber, what would you call them? Indie guys are out there trying to help break this all up. Man, what are these guys coming out from? Anyways, Jordan Oliver was out there, took a spike pile driver. Adam Priest was another one that was pie-faced by Harwood. He starts firing shots off on Harwood in the corner. And Excalibur then brought up how FTR wrestled JD Drake and Priest on a recent collision, or brought up, yeah, they wrestled on a recent collision. And yeah, there's history there. Cool. Just these 4 guys hate each other. Well, really, FTR hate Cope. Cope hate FTR, and Christian said, you help me, I'm going to help you against them. Whatever. A video package hyping up Saturday's Moxley-Daniel Garcia match. FTR and Stokely were backstage and said, next time Copeland and Christian put their hands on Stokely, it's going to be a reckoning. Harwood screams to Adam Priest off screen, who apologized for getting fired up as Wheeler badmouthed him. Wheeler then told Priest to get his gear and a partner this Saturday. I guess it's JD Drake. I don't know. But yeah. Stokely then told Priest, get his bitch ass out of our room. Before we go to our main event, though, the All-Star 8-Man tag, we got to hear from our sponsor, Factor Foods, Factor 75. Let's be real. Life moves fast and dinner shouldn't slow you down. That's where Factor comes in. Factor 75 delivers fresh, never frozen meals straight to your door so you can skip the grocery store, the prep, and the cleanup. Just heat and eat and get back to crushing your day. Whether you're keto, calorie conscious, or just want to eat clean without sacrificing flavor, Factor has chef-crafted options that actually taste like real food. Maybe you want pancakes for breakfast, chicken for lunch, and a steak for dinner. Factor has you covered. And here's the kicker. These meals are ready to go in just 2 minutes. That's less time it takes to scroll through your delivery app and regret your choices. So if you want to fuel your hustle without any hassle, then sign up for a Factor 75 subscription today. Use our code below, scan the QR code on the screen, or use our link in the description to get 50% off your order. Eat smart, live fully with Factor. With that, we're back, guys. And we have the All-Star 8-man tag in the main event. It's Hangman Adam Page, the AEW World Champion, Kenny Omega, and Jet Speed taking on the team of Kyle Fletcher, Josh Alexander, and the Young Bucks. And I'm like, why are the Young Bucks in this match? At least with Jet Speed, they had faced the Don Callis family the week before, so it's like, okay, cool, whatever. But the Bucks just randomly being added? Might as well just put them in the damn Don Callis family because they've been doing stuff with Don and the family for months now. Ever since Don and Okada linked up. So it was a big party match. A lot happened, and not a lot that was very notable or really that impressive and entertaining. Well, I wouldn't say not entertaining. There are a lot of entertaining spots in this match, but that's what it was. Just a bunch of spots. Nothing that really kept me super invested, if you know what I mean. So, early on, there was just a lot of fighting by random people. Page at one point was German suplexed and landed on his feet. He then got booted in the face, blindsided by Fletcher. Omega then ran in, and the match completely broke down early on with all four baby faces hitting quadruple slingshot crossbody blocks to the floor. Back inside, Alexander was lit up by Omega and Page's chops as things went to a commercial break with Jet Speed in the driver's seat. During the break, Omega found himself worked over, but made the hot tag to Bayley, who ran wild momentarily before Alexander hit a released German suplex. At one point, Nick gets tagged in, Nick Jackson, that is. And he hits a missile dropkick and a couple of other moves before getting taken down. He then, Bayley goes for a splash, but Nick gets the knees up. Matt tags in, hits the rolling Northern Light suplexes with Kevin Knight, who just tagged in, and Knight countered the third one into a tornado DDT, and a double down ensues. Page tags in and immediately planted Matt with a fallaway slam. Alexander then made a springboard lariat. Fletcher tagged in, but Omega and Page hit a snazzy pop-up German. Alexander then saved Fletcher from a V-trigger buckshot as Fletcher wiped out Omega with a dive. Fletcher returned, charged at Page, and flattened the TNT champion. Bayley then lit up Alexander with rapid-fire kicks, a PK, and a somersault double knees. But as he went for the time adventure, Alexander countered with a rolling German. After a commercial break, Bayley took a double stomp, bounce back powerbomb by the Bucks for a 2, as Excalibur called it the mbop drop. I'm like, what the shit? The mbop drop. So yeah, we got that now. Mbop drop, yeah. I don't know. Mbop drop. I mean, it's a snazzy name, but it's just dumb. Especially if they're not going to use mbop as their theme every week. Yeah, no. Nick tried a swanton, but Bayley got the knees up. Then Omega came in and spiked Alexander with the poison Rana. At one point, another wild brawl ensued. The Bucks then tagged in as we get a wild elite face-off, Omega and Page, against Omega and Page. And we get holy shit chance here as they start brawling. Wild series of home run shots by everybody until Nick accidentally took out Matt with a buckshot before Page turned him inside out with a lariat of his own. V-trigger by Omega as Page wanted a buckshot. Matt pulled his brother out of the way, but Omega and Page pulled up only to be dropped by the Bucks in an amazing sequence. At one point, there was a dropkick that landed flush from Mike and Bayley. They took out Nick Jackson, while Matt and Fletcher wiped out Bayley with the double super kicks. Knight then tried a UFO splash, but Fletcher got his knees up, wanted the Avalanche Brainbuster, but Bayley made the save with an Avalanche Poison Rana. Bayley then landed right into a super kick party as Nick took out Omega and Page with dives. There's assisted tombstone by Matt and Alexander as Fletcher finished it off with a sheer drop brainbuster on Knight to pick up the victory. So there we go. Again, they're letting Josh Alexander look very strong here. And post-match, Callis applauds his crew as Alexander and Fletcher beat down Page and Omega. The Bucks then brawled with jet speed. Rocky Romero and Lance Archer joined in, and I'm like, I was thinking, where's the hell's Trent and Beretta been? Trent's been missing. He's part of this group. Is he out injured? I don't know. But they're all fighting and everything. They set up a chair in the middle of the ring as Fletcher hit Page with a brainbuster on it. Omega then covered up Page as Romero and Archer set up a table at ringside. Omega tried fighting back, but the numbers were too much. Fletcher then caught him right in the ribs with a broken chair. Fletcher dragged Omega on the apron and hit a brainbuster off the apron through the table at ringside as Callis was laughing his ass off. Fletcher's back was bleeding. Doctors quickly tended to Omega, who was holding his neck. The show goes off the air with the Don Callis family standing tall. Omega and Page knocked out. Okay, cool. We'll see where this all leads to. I think it's going to lead to Omega and Fletcher and maybe Alexander and Hangman. But it's like, who wants Josh Alexander as the championship challenger for the world title? Nothing against Josh Alexander, a great former TNA world champion, but since coming to AEW, he's been a nothing. Also, speaking of where's Trent been, where's Wardlow? No Wardlow. Brian Cage, we know he's out injured, so that's a thing. Like, don't worry about him. But where the fuck was Wardlow? You bring Wardlow back. He's part of the family. He comes out last week with them, and this week nowhere to be seen? Unless I missed something in the chaos of the 50 people out there at once? Where was Wardlow? Already back and not being on TV. Oofa. With that, guys, that was AEW Dynamite. An okay show. Not a bad show, but not a great show at all. But with that, you know what I thought of the show. Now it's time to hear what you guys thought of tonight's show as we go and check the polls. Also, guys, I'm going to start doing more, hopefully, if time permits. Oh, you don't want to hear me sing because I can actually sing, guy. Anyways, if time permits, I'm going to start doing more during the day streams as far as like gaming streams on Twitch only. Today we did do a stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/TimmyBuddy. We did a live react to the 007 First Light State of Play. Tomorrow, if time permits, during the day, not sure exactly what time, but at some point, probably going to do a stream of Silk Song because Hollow Knight Silk Song comes out tomorrow. We get it through Game Pass, so why not? That game looks awesome. I love the first Hollow Knight, and so I really want to play Silk Song, and why not play it on stream? Oof. That Twitch poll, or the Twitter poll, not in their favor. So as far as the Threads poll does go, didn't get many votes because I did these late, but 4 people voted, 4 people liked the show. As far as the Twitch poll, or I keep saying Twitter poll does go, 58% didn't like the show, 25% liked it, and 16% thought it was just all right. Looking at the community poll, 68% liked it, 17% thought it was all right, and 15% didn't like it. As far as the live poll, 90% liked the show, 5% thought it was just all right, and 5% didn't like it. And finally, over on Twitch, 80% liked it, 20% didn't. With that, guys, that's going to wrap everything up. I want to say thank you for joining us here. Twitch.tv/PWU Unlimited, YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. Also, Corey, you said corny ass singer, and then tell that to the military and me winning a military singing competition in 2013. So, yeah. How about that, guy? How about that? Have a good one, guys, and we'll see you next time. All right, I'm still watching live on Twitch. We're going to hit a raid really fast. We raided on YouTube.